Hello everyone, welcome back. Now we're going to talk about boxplots. Boxplots are exciting because in a simple graphic, they provide to you a lot of statistical information. So we're going to see what that looks like for our flights data set, where we already filtered for American Airlines, United Airlines, and Delta Airlines. And this is in the New York City airports, which are three of them. Three airports that we're looking at are JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, New Jersey. So we're going to do boxplots on that. And we're going to be following the same grammar of graphics framework that we've been discussing in the previous videos. So the most important part in the grammar of graphics, or in any time you do some plotting, is your data. So your data is going to be defined in your boxplot right away. So as VF is my data frame, that's where my data is located. All right. Out of the data located, I'm going to do a face grid. And in the face grid, I'm going to do it by origin. Origin meaning the airport. The airport can be, again, Newark, New Jersey, JFK, or LaGuardia. The next thing I'm going to do is my geometry, right? In my framework, my geometry is going to be a boxplot. And I'm going to choose to do in my boxplot, on my horizontal axis, I have to have a categorical variable. And on my vertical axis, a numerical variable. So those are the coordinates from your grammar or graphics. So carrier will be my x-axis. And airtime will be my y-axis. And as you can see, carrier is a categorical variable. It's either American Airlines or United Airlines or Delta Airlines, whereas airtime is a number. It's how long the flight goes for. All right. Then I have a few other things, palette for my colors, and a little bit more information of how I want it displayed. So how about if we go on and run this code? As you can see, it's a lot simpler now. As you learn to do plotting, and we're going to be using Seaborn library, we're going to be simplifying our approach by just doing what we need. So very nice and easy. As you can see, only a few lines is going to create our boxplot. So here's our boxplot. It's not so bad, right? It's telling us a lot of what we saw before when we were doing histograms, except in a boxplot, right? In a boxplot, we also collect information about, so the boxplot looks like this, right? So straight boxplot with some data on the top, some data at the bottom, and a line in the middle. The line in the middle is your median. Then this is the 25 percentile, or the first quartile, which means 25% of the data is on this number or below, between here and here. Then this one, the median is 50%, right? So 50% of our data is between here and here, and that number or below. Then the 75 percentile. Then the whiskers that are on the top are calculated based on a formula. We can talk about this a little bit later, but it's kind of like where it makes sense, where we keep the data. And many times that will be the maximum and the minimum. Here it's based on a formula because we have some outliers. So if I go and look, for example, United Airlines in Newark, which has a lot of activity, we have a median over here. Then we have whiskers. The whisker over here happens to be also a minimum. I don't see any outliers out of that. And another whisker over here. Then your 75 percentile and your 25 percentile, the median meaning the 50% percentile. And then we have a few outliers over there. So the outliers are making it look a little bit more difficult, but it's telling us about the kind of data that we have. Funny thing is, in JFK, we don't have any outliers. I don't see any outliers in our data. We see the outliers more in Newark. You know, some of these airtime, some of these airliers, maybe it is a flight that goes all the way to Japan. You know, Newark, New Jersey, United Airlines has some really long international flights. It's a matter of going and consulting on their website and United, and you can find out more about it. But it's indicating something like that. Because we're doing exploratory data analysis, we begin to see that. Notice in LaGuardia, things are not as long. All of the box plots are a little bit below here. And so that's quite interesting, right? Delta Airlines has a few outliers. Now, the outliers are good to see. You wanna know that there are outliers, but maybe we want to focus and ignore the outliers for a little bit. And we can do that by going back to the same geometry in Seaborn library, the geometry in my box plot, and we can take this argument called show flyers, which is my outliers, and making it false. So if I do that, I'm going to run it again and see what happens. Right, so no longer I see the outliers, and that's fine. It will allow me to focus more on the data that is driving more of my analysis. I got to be careful with those words because the outliers can also drive your analysis. But it is another view of what the data looks like. So here you can see that Delta has a lot of flights that are not at the outlier side that span quite a bit from JFK. So you can fly to Europe on Delta from JFK or other parts of the world, and perhaps some of those are symbolized or represented in those within those whiskers. And United Airlines in Newark has also a big span of flights that are not so long and flights that are a lot longer. And we can corroborate or verify and further understand. If we go back to our histograms, and we can see some of those conclusions, which I discussed and described in the previous video. So this is where you go with exploratory data analysis. You don't just rely on one geometry, on one type of plot, but multiple plots that add to your understanding of the data. And now we're beginning to do data wrangling and data analytics. In the next few videos, we will explore other kinds of data, other numerical data, scatter plots, and other things that are very important to our understanding of our data set. But for now, you've accomplished quite a bit using this example from carriers, from New York City airports. So for now, this is good, and I will talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.